The grieving parents of a nursing student who was killed in a hit-and-run by a drunk driver have pledged to fulfill their daughter's bucket list. They are receiving assistance from a woman who received their daughter's heart in a transplant. Losing someone we love is very different from other experiences that make us feel sad. When we lose a loved one, we go through many emotions like feeling very sad or even angry. Grief is not the same for everyone. Sometimes we feel lost and upset, and other times we feel thankful for the time we had with them. It can be hard to understand why we have to feel so much pain when someone we love is no longer with us. Humans need social connections to stay mentally healthy, and losing someone we love feels like losing a part of ourselves. Christina Chesterman never came close to checking off even a handful of items on her bucket list before she unfortunately died. She was 21 when an alleged drunk driver struck her and then drove off as she biked home from a long day of studying with fellow nursing students. But shortly after her death last September, her wish to save someone's life got fulfilled multiple times over. She left behind a bucket list, and her parents took it from her. They vowed to complete it by ticking off the goals she had not had a chance to achieve yet. Volunteers from all over the world have agreed to help, including the woman who received Miss Chesterman's heart as an organ donor. On some levels, I think Christina knew she was going to have a short life, Miss Chesterman said. She was always rushing to do everything, and 3 weeks before she died, she called me out of the blue to tell me how proud of me she was. We had no idea she'd ever written a bucket list. One of the items was to save a life. Chesterman said she still deals with overwhelming grief. There are still some days I just don't get out of bed because it's so unbelievably hard, she said. Meeting with Vieira and others who were aided by Christina has helped her through the pain. Chesterman said she plans to learn more about Doctors Without Borders and nonprofit and non-governmental organizations Christina hoped to help when she graduated from college with her nursing degree. I want to see the world the way Christina saw it, she said. That's what losing her has done to me. I want to see the good in everybody and live like she did. Christina's bucket list: be in 4 places at once, go to Venice. Learn to play chess, beat someone at chess. Save someone's life, own 2 pieces of property, 1 with livestock. Manage my own business, get married, have kids. Learn to fly a plane, go to the 4 out of 7 wonders of the world. Fly first class on a plane, visit the 50 states, drive Route 66. Though she hasn't done it through nursing, she's done the saving a life by donating her organs. She was an incredible person, and her memory will live on forever. We never imagined she was going to die. Chico State University student Miss Chesterman was cycling home from the library on September 20th, 2013, when Hoover plowed into her, carrying her 120 feet before fleeing the scene. He was arrested at his apartment later that evening, while Miss Chesterman lay on a life support machine at the nearby Eno Medical Center. Meanwhile, her parents have received a call from doctors advising them to make the 3-hour journey to Miss Chesterman's bedside as quickly as possible. It was a very long, sad summer drive because we had no idea what we were going to find, said Miss Chesterman. A stay-at-home mother, we knew it was bad when intensive care unit nurses warned us that she may not look like herself, but we still never imagined she was going to die. When we saw her, she had blood around her eyes and ears, but at the same time, she looked very peaceful, like she was sleeping. It was 2 days before Miss Chesterman was stable enough for doctors to run tests to see if she had any brain activity. In that time, her devastated family began to piece together the events that led to her ending up in the hospital fighting for her life. She had been cycling across a bridge when she was hit, said Miss Chesterman. She was so close to home, her apartment block was in sight. A man had driven past anonymous paper strewn across the road. He stopped to investigate and found Christina's body. He called 911 while 2 homeless men sat with Christina, cradling her and telling her she was going to be okay and to go to God. It comforts me to know she wasn't alone. Medics found no trace of brain activity, and Miss Chesterman was pronounced dead on September 24, 2015. Saying my final goodbye was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, she said. She was kept alive artificially via ventilator for 2 more days while recipients for her organs were found. For those 2 days, her hospital room was a revolving door of family and friends coming to say goodbye, said Miss Chesterman. People we'd never met opened their homes to us, offering us food and a place to shower and sleep. Those kind gestures showed us just how much love there is from strangers. Saying my final goodbye was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I held her one last time, and I didn't want to let go. One of Miss Chesterman's kidneys was given to a friend of the family who was in dire need of a transplant. Then, over the following months, Mr. and Mrs. Chesterman began to track down the 4 other strangers whose lives had been saved by their daughter. Her pancreas and kidney were transplanted into a 42-year-old diabetic man. Her liver had been split between a 9-month-old baby, the mother of whom Mr. and Mrs. Chesterman are still in contact with today, and a 66-year-old man who did not speak English but learned how to say thank you and I love you to Miss Chesterman. Finally, her heart went to congestive heart failure patient Susan Vieira, who was put in touch with the Chesterman family after a local news station ran a story on the bucket list. They discovered, by piecing together the few details she'd been given about her donor, like the age, gender, and how she died, she worked out that it could be Christina, said Mrs. Chesterman. The transplant network confirmed this for us, and Susan promised to help take off any items on Christina's bucket list that she was well enough to do. Another amazing coincidence is that Susan used to be a nurse at the same hospital that inspired Christina to be a nurse when she interned there. There were just so many things that connected them. It was as if Christina had handpicked Susan. We will complete everything on our bucket list as a family over our lifetime. Among the other items on Miss Chesterman's list were to go skydiving, visit every continent, drive Route 66, and most poignantly, be remembered as the smiley girl. When Mrs. Chesterman posted the list to Facebook shortly after finding it, volunteers from all over the world came forward to offer their help. One woman promised to drive Route 66 with Miss Chesterman's photograph in the passenger seat, while another went skydiving. As her story was shared across the globe, more and more people came forward, posting photographs of them posing with Miss Chesterman's picture at various landmarks, helping her to fulfill her dream of traveling the world. Mr. and Mrs. Chesterman did exciting things like riding a hot air balloon, flying a plane, and visiting Niagara Falls in memory of their daughter. They also fulfilled one of her wishes by running through a poppy field, recreating a scene from The Wizard of Oz with Miss Vieira. Some things on Christina's list, like breaking up a fight between 2 guys over her, they can't do. But they have already accomplished others, like getting married and having kids. They plan to do the rest as a family over their lifetime. In addition to completing her bucket list, they are honoring their daughter by building the Christina Chesterman Medical Clinic in Nigeria. They have also started a foundation that gives $55,000 scholarships each year to nursing students at California State University who are most like Christina. They have raised enough money to keep the foundation running for the next 30 years. Hoover from Ohio is currently serving a 7-year sentence for driving under the influence in a hit-and-run. Mrs. Chesterman expressed her desire for him to be sorry in a letter read in court. If you found this story inspiring, feel free to share it with your family and friends. Your comments are also welcome. Thank you for watching.